A beautiful spring evening at Lowe's Motor Speedway in Concord, North Carolina. Bud Pole qualifying coming your way. There are 49 Nextel Cup drivers trying to make their way into a slim 43-car field, and we got it for you here on Speed. Temperature is the big thought of the day as they have practiced on a very hot, slick track all day long. The track is still hot, and it is still slick, so the guys who have to go out early have their work cut out for them. Let's take a look at practice. What happened the last time these cars were out on the racetrack? Some of the faster guys to keep an eye on. Casey Mears in his Hendrick-powered number 25 was 5th fastest in the practice session. Those guys like to run well because we're only a couple miles away from their headquarters. Another Hendrick car, and the guy who has owned Lowe's Motor Speedway for the past few years, Jimmy Johnson, in the 48. Was 4th fastest on that chart. From Robert Yates Racing, Ricky Rudd in the 88, 3rd quickest. They could need a jump start to use a jump start to their season so far with a good run tonight. And the Ray Evernham Motorsports cars are back on top of this chart once again at Lowe's. Casey Kane in the 9 was 2nd quickest, and his teammate Elliott Sadler in the 19 was the fastest car in the final practice session before qualifying. Let's take a look at the whole rundown. Big chart, 1 through 10 here. It's Elliott Sadler on top. Kane Rudd, Jimmy Johnson is one of your NASCAR Hot Pass on DirecTV drivers, and Casey Mears round out your top 5. Then it's Matt Kenseth, Joe Nemechek, Kyle Busch, Scott Riggs, and Jamie McMurray rounding out your top 10. So we have pretty much every manufacturer represented in the top 10. Well, folks, we take a look at 11 through 20. We're going to take a quick break here on Cup qualifying. When we come back, we'll get you back inside the racetrack. Race number 12 of the 36 race schedule is this weekend at Lowe's Motor Speedway. Bud Pole qualifying on the way. And after a week off from points racing, we are back to business as usual. These are the ones that count towards the championship. Let's now head inside the racetrack and join Bob Dillner once again. Bob.
And inside the NASCAR Busch Series ground, you see that car right there, the number 6. One of the fastest cars until the very end, as David Reagan pushes it. The guy blowing off the engine there. But, man, Casey Kane over there in that 9 car stole your spotlight late in that practice session because you were pretty quick up until he stole it.
Just as long as he doesn't steal it Saturday night, I can handle this. Our discount tire Ford Fusion is pretty fast. It feels pretty good to go out and, be fast right off the trailer. And, we kind of, fine-tuned it a little bit. We heard it here. We help it here. So, this Busch team's on a roll. We've been doing pretty good here lately, and we just got to keep it up. But first things first, we got to go qualify a AAA car next.
And I know you got to be happy that you are among the final contestants out there for qualifying in Cup today.
The Cup practice goes so fast. You see you got an hour and a half or something like that, and, man, you were just boom, boom, boom after we scuff a couple sets of tires, and then it's over. So, running the Busch car just helps me with making laps on the racetrack. Each car drives a little different, but Jimmy Finning's got it ready to go, and we'll be good.
We'll be watching David Reagan tonight during Cup qualifying here at the Lowe's Motor Speedway, and I bet you the pole sitter comes from the final 15 cars, Johnny.
Now, Bob, that is a bet I won't take with you because I think I will lose it. The track is hot right now, and it's slippery, so the guys who go out early in this qualifying session definitely have their work cut out for them. The guys in the latter part of the draw, well, by luck of the draw, they should be looking better. Folks, stick around. We got the whole qualifying session with all the stars of NASCAR out tonight for you in just a moment. Stick around.
Speed Channel welcomes you back to Lowe's Motor Speedway. It's Budweiser pole qualifying on CTC pole night for Sunday night's Coca-Cola 600 that you'll see in high definition on Fox. It took till the last minute of practice. And that's when Sterling Marlin took the Pep Boys car into the wall. Not bad. Not good. And in the last 30 seconds of practice, Michael Waltrip found the wall in his Napa Camry. So the only car excused from the qualifying draw was Marlin. He goes to a backup. Here are the drivers that must qualify on time. Note the 21, not Kenny Schrader, not John Wood, but Bill Elliott behind the wheel. He has 6 champions provisionals if needed to try and get the Wood Brothers car back into the owner's top 35. Here's Matt Yoakum.
81-year-old car owner Glenn Wood couldn't call on a better shoe to help make an impact on this team, Mike, like you mentioned. They've got the safety net of a past champions provisional. So how is it going so far in the legendary 21?
Good. I mean, it's just an honor to drive the car. I mean, these guys, you know, from Leonard to Glenn and all the guys, as much as they've accomplished early in their racing career to what, you know, Lynn and Eddie has done here lately. I mean, it's a great race team, and I'm just proud to be here. I mean, it's a nice change for me to come in and you know, at least, you know, we're going to try to qualify our way in, but worst case scenario, we're in the race, and that's our main objective tonight. And, you know, it's just like I told Fatback a little while ago, you know, here I am, I'm getting in the car, you know, and we're trying to work through some things. I said, nah, just put it back the way you had it, you know, and then we got pretty decent. So that's the things we got to work through. I mean, the thing about this stuff is you just about got to drive a race car every day. You learn something new every day, and, you know, that's what I'm here for. And I said, you know, the biggest thing that's going to help me is getting the race Sunday afternoon, and then be able to try to help them and go through from that point.
A storybook ending which would actually add to some great history. 4 times in Wood Brothers history, the first time a driver got in the famous 21. In that weekend, they went to victory lane. One of those 4 happened right here in Charlotte, Mike. He is definitely on a drive for 5.
Bill Elliott in Air Force Blue this weekend. Hi, everybody, with Darrell Waltrip and Larry McReynolds. I'm Mike Joy as we get set for Budweiser pole qualifying. Well, you practiced in the heat of the afternoon, and some of these fellows are still going to have to qualify in the heat of the afternoon.
Yeah, but it's real simple.
Okay.
It's not a real no-brainer here. You hold it wide open and turn left. Guy that can do that the longest and the bestest, he'll be on the pole.
That has me concerned, though, because I go back and you saw the highlights with Michael Waltrip with Sterling Marlin. Let's go back to open qualifying last Friday night. That was about this time right here, especially those 14 guys that are go or go home. They know they have to stand on it, but I'm telling you, you'll get lured in. This track still, especially over in turn 3, still doesn't have the grip they're going to be looking for.
The first car looking for that grip is Jeremy Mayfield in the 360 OTC Camry from Bill Davis Racing. He started on the outside pole here for last year's race when driving a Dodge for Ray Evernham.
And people always say, you know, what makes this place so tough, and what are you talking about the weather? You just saw Jeremy come out of the shadows of the grandstand. Turn 2 is still in the sun. Track's probably 25, 30 degrees hotter right there. But the hottest spot is where he is right now, because the sun sets on that turn 3, all day long and then late into the afternoon before it goes down behind the grandstand. A lot of heat.
And Darryl, you could see when he drove it down into 3 and 4, the car just would not stick to the bottom. His first lap was 29.62. He slows down 2.5 tenths. It's hard to run faster on lap 2 because you start losing that grip. I think a lot of our guys that are locked in, they'll pretty much probably be one and done.
A lot of the go-or-go homers are late in the session, and that will not help Jeremy Mayfield's chances. Here's Chris Devoda.
Well, last year, this place was an amusement park. It was called Evernham Land. They did everything. They had the pole. Casey Kane had the broom out. You swept both races. So, Casey, can you do it again? Can you back it up and win another Coca-Cola 600?
I don't know. We're going to see. You know, the car was good today. It's the best it's been in a little while. So, I was happy with our Dodge Charger. Just finished bush practice, and we were fastest there. So far, it's been a good day. I'm running out of time. I've been running all day long, but we go out late, so that's good. And I'm going to go in and grab my Gillette Fusion and shave from it.
Okay, well, you go ahead and do that. Of course, he's doing triple duty. That's why he said he's been busy in that Dodge Viper. He's in the Busch car and, of course, in his Cup car. So we're going to let Casey go. But he did say this Coca-Cola win, guys, last year, one of the biggest thrills of his life.
That's fine, Krista. Thanks. Tell him we'll bill him for the commercial. He's running the Busch race. He's got to qualify and then run the SCCA sports car race that follows qualifying here tonight.
Must be planning on taking some pictures if he's going to go back and spruce up a little bit.
Or he's getting cleaned up for someone. You never know.
Maybe both.
Maybe.
I'm not even going there.
Well, let's go with Mark Martin because he has just taken the top spot with a 29.43 in the Army Chevrolet. He has 2 top 5 starts this season.
Finished third in the All-Star Challenge the other night. Had a great run. Was late. Was really good late in that race when you needed to be good. Has 4 wins here at Lowe's Motor Speedway. Looks like Mark's going to run this second lap.
Yeah, I think with this tire, I wouldn't be surprised to see guys pick up maybe a little bit. Things are a little squirrely on the first lap.
It'll be about
2/10 slower, which is about what Jeremy Mayfield did.
right.
I'm surprised, though, those speeds. I mean, Mark's got a pretty fast car, and I thought they'd be way down in 28s.
Pushed in the center of 1 and 2. But the balance was about neutral. Just low on grip, buddy.
And I'm sure that's going to get better as the night goes on and the track cools down.
New blue flames for Jeff Gordon on his DuPont Chevrolet. Saluting the Department of Defense. Does he have the biggest championship lead ever after 11 races into the season? Let's see. Yes, he does.
Say so.
In the current point system
that came about in 1975.
Of course, that's why we have the chase.
That's right.
Because really and truly, that means very little other than bragging rights.
And the one change since is that now you get 5 more points for a win than you did when the system was first devised, but that would not knock Gordon out of first place.
Well, this car is not very good either. It's not handling very well, doesn't look like.
Well, remember the last run he made?
Is a lot better.
The last run he made in that last practice, and he's going to shut it right down. He was not happy. I bet you he's not going to be happy when he sees that time either.
Oh, well, you can win here from the back. It's just harder. Speeds coverage of Bud Pole qualifying from Lowe's Motor Speedway is brought to you by Carrier. Turn to the experts for all your heating and cooling needs. And brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. Click it or ticket. And by Sea-Doo. Break free and discover the exhilaration of Sea-Doo. Kyle Petty is the 4th driver on the clock in the Coke Zero Dodge. 29.82 the first lap, and slower on lap 2 by the usual 0.2. Matt?
Mike Martin got out of his race car. You were kind of smiling with your crew members here on the Mark Martin scale. Exactly. How big of a lap was that?
That was really hard to do right there. I'm proud I got through it. Didn't tear our stuff up. We've got a great U.S. Army car. Love driving for these guys. Really appreciate them. And it was really hot and slick when we went. We really got a tough draw there. We laid down the best lap that I could ask for. I would not want to have another crack at that. I'm glad I made it through that in one piece. We got all we could get there.
He missed the money cloud by about 5 minutes. In the sun, the track temperature was 110. In the shade, 101. Mike?
Mark is the designated driver for Jeff Gordon if Jeff has to leave on baby watch in late June. Jamie Mack, the Irwin Tools Ford did not practice well, but admittedly they were not working on qualifying runs for most all of that session.
Cut up off the bottom just a little bit down there, and he's a little high here in 3 and 4. Can't quite hook that white line like I know he would like to, but there is some grip in the middle of the racetrack.
Larry, he was at the bottom of the chart, and then very late in the session he went out and ripped off a lap that was 10th quickest.
Yeah, he did make a practice qualifying run right as that practice session ended. Now he will be one and done, but right now 3rd quickest at a 29.63 just behind Jeremy Mayfield.
Yeah, it felt good. It did the same thing it did though in the bonsai run where it stuck pretty good, and then when I got back to turn 3 I went through there real slow again, so sorry about that.
Well, still a lot of sun and heat in turn 3. Krista?
The shade is out just a little bit down here on the grid, but you know, Juan Pablo Montoya has won big races, the Indy 500, the Grand Prix of Monaco. What about 600 miles, though, in a stock car? Are you ready for that?
I think it's going to be long. It's a long race. The cars are going to be really hot. This car is so hot. It makes it pretty tough, but I think we got a really good race car, so I'm looking forward to it.
All right, and as we talked about in the practice shows, very good at the 1.5 mile tracks, good at Atlanta, good at Texas. That's Juan Pablo Montoya.
Yeah, and I watched him in practice, and he was running that handsome Harry groove right up next to the wall.
That's right. Clint Boyer, the Jack Daniels 07 for Richard Childress. Got his first Bud Pole at Darlington this year.
I'd say, Darrell, when he goes... boy, Clint Boyer way up the racetrack.
Trouble.
But what I was going to say about Montoya, I'd say qualifying, you're going to see him right around the bottom. But I think he was starting to look for that upper groove, top groove, getting ready to do some race stuff come Saturday.
This car right here is going to wreck if he's not careful. It's just bottoming out. Looks like it's going in the corner, and when it loads the front end up, it bottoms out and shoots up the hill with him. Could get better on the second lap, maybe with the air pressure buildup.
You know, Darrell, we talked about that in the practice session, if that indeed is what's happening. It's almost like the minute the car lands, going down in there, it shoots up. The cars are going in the corner at a much higher rate of speed than practice. Things bottom out, and he's had about enough of that qualifying session.
Yeah, I think he sees the same thing we do. I keep doing this, I'm going to wreck this thing.
But you find things that you will not see in practice. You find them now in qualifying. But, Matt, Jeff Gordon wasn't happy in practice. How about after that qualifying run?
Well, let's check in with a 4-time series champion. So we talked to Mark Martin. He said basically on the e-ticket ride scale, it was a 10 out of 10. How about you?
Well, I think he was a little loose. We've been way off today. You know, this same car we had here last week for the All-Star event, and it never would take off great on new tires, so we didn't expect it to today. But we got too far off trying to secure the back. We tightened the front and made some great adjustments right there, but just didn't go far enough, and it was just super, super tight. And it's not going to be where we're going to want to start with this Department of Defense car. But you know what? We were awful good in the race last week. I think we're going to be really strong throughout the race again, and we're just going to have to come from the back, unfortunately. But fortunately, it's a 600-mile race.
Jeff Gordon, one of those drivers carrying special colors this weekend on Memorial Weekend.
Denny Hamlin is the car on the track. The FedEx Chevy saluting the U.S. Marines.
Here's another guy, Mike, that wasn't terribly happy over here last week. Struggled with his car during the All-Star race.
But he looks like he's on a pretty good run right here. He looks like he may be pole material temporarily. Yeah. 29.31 beats Mark Martin by over 1/10 of a second.
Now, they've done a lot of work on this car since last week in the front suspension area.
But as we've often said here, this track is so weather sensitive. As the sun goes down, business ought to pick up.
Speeds will pick up.
There are times you gotta ask yourself, do you think you've got the torque? Or do you know you've got the torque? Get Q Torque Power for trucks. Heat activated to help more of your engine's power reach the road. No leading synthetic motor oil delivers more torque than Q Torque Power. Full synthetic Q Torque Power for trucks. Unleash all your horses.
At this track, you got it made in the shade. And there's the difference.
You've got that right.
And that just means in the shade, which is pretty much from the middle of 3 and 4 where Nemechek's at right now, all the way to going into turn 2. That's in that area of 101 degrees track temperature.
But turn 3 is just, well, turn 2 a little bit, but turn 3 mostly. That sun never, that's the last place that the track is in shade, and it stays hot right there and slick.
And they've built the grandstands as high as they can to try and shield it, get a little shade over there sooner. But this time of year, that's what we get.
So Nemechek's first lap in the 13 car, 29.68. He's going to go ahead and run that next lap. But you can just see, like so many cars, way, way up the racetrack, he definitely will slow down on this lap. Right now, 6th quickest.
I guess Haier, the Chinese-based company, the first Chinese sponsor in NASCAR, they have plants here in the U.S., including one in Camden, South Carolina. They must have liked NASCAR. They're on this car 3 weeks in a row.
Yeah,
good for them.
Darlington, the All-Star race, and now this week.
Ward Burton in the State Water Heaters Chevy from Morgan McClure Racing. Now he's our second go-or-go-home driver of this session, trying to make his 6th race of 2007. Matt?
Are you coming by later?
And Denny Hamlin working on post-qualifying plans. Well, which end of the racetrack was this car the best?
I felt like 1 and 2. I felt like 3 and 4 I kind of slipped up and let it ensured I'd stay on the bottom by kind of double clutch in there. But I don't know, our car was pretty good for the most part, a big improvement over practice, and hopefully that puts us somewhere in the top 20. We know the conditions are going to bite us there soon.
And the temperature has come down, Larry Mack. I know you're keeping score up there. Another 5 degrees for the track temperature.
And what I saw with Ward Burton in his 4-car, Darrell, he drove that thing so deep down into 1 and 2. He stayed over in position number 1, but just could not keep the car down from the center off.
Yeah, it went way up the hill. And folks, just give you kind of a DW analogy. If you're water skiing or snow skiing, that's what this joint's like when it's hot and slick. As the sun goes down, the track cools off. It's like you put on a pair of ice skates. Your blades will dig in. You can make that turn.
Ward has a chance to be a little quicker here, displaying the U.S. Air Force anniversary logo on the hood.
Don't believe it's going to do it.
No,
First
he's
lap, 7th quickest.
Way up the hill again in 3 and 4.
He's 7/100ths slower on lap 2. Krista?
Well, Kyle Busch is climbing in his race car, and talk about a driver who knows how to handle a slick track. Has been very good here in just about everything, trucks, Busch cars, and of course had one of the best cars at the All-Star Challenge. You had a very good car last week, Kyle. So do you have extra motivation to, looking at what happened last week going into this race now, extra motivation at this track?
Not really. It's, we destroyed that one. It's written off. So, this car was better in the test, we felt like, so we were going to save this one anyway. But we've just come out here this weekend like we would any other weekend and try to win the race. So we'll see what we can do with our CarQuest Kellogg Chevy.
All right, that's Kyle Busch, and he's going to roll off soon.
And he had a rough Busch Series practice just as the track opened for final practice about an hour ago. Ended up getting into the wall with that car, and they had to go to a backup.
Juan Pablo Montoya in the Haviland Dodge.
He does have a fast car. I watched him. He was out there running with some other cars, and it seemed like his car was really fast on the straightaway. He's got a lot of power in the hood.
And that's what it just showed, Daryl. Coming off turn 2, he was back to 4th, and at the end of the back straightaway, he was all the way up to 2nd. This is definitely going to be a good top 5 run for Juan.
3rd with a 29.57. And he's going to play 2.
Could see him using a little bit of brake, but again, that car just would not stay down in the middle of the corner.
Get him the gas. Still touch it, but I can't get him the gas.
Just having to wait. That's one of those things that a driver, it frustrates you because you wanted the car to turn and get in the gas, just won't cooperate.
And that's one of the products of a tire that's a little harder compound with a track that doesn't have a tremendous amount of grip right now.
Denny Hamlin and Mark Martin are quickest. Coming up, Johnny Sauter, Tony Raines, and David Stremme. Welcome back to Lowe's Motor Speedway, Concord, North Carolina. New look for the number 70 Haas CNC Racing entry. Radioactive energy drink for Johnny Sauter. Gosh, if it makes him any more hyper, I don't know what we'll do.
No, but you got to give these guys credit, Mike. Saturday night in the All-Star race, comes in and makes it into the through the challenge, and makes through the open and makes it into the challenge. That was a pretty nice job this kid did the other night.
He had a great night,
and he finished 6th in the challenge race itself. So good job on his part all night long.
They struggled in practice today, though. Didn't get the result they wanted until, again, very end. They went out, ran 14th quickest, but that's not showing up on the watch here.
Not at all. 10th quickest out of the 11 cars that have qualified. Johnny will definitely go for a second lap. This is that same race car, but it's almost like until it got into a run, this car, you heard Jeff Gordon talking about it a while ago, this car didn't really start to shine till it got some laps into a run.
Yeah, he and Martin Truex, I mean, they were strong at the end of that first session there in the open, but it took them some laps to do it.
Well, his run is done, and 2 laps of just over 30 flat. But Sauter 10th of 11, and Tony Raines is next in the DLPH DTV Chevy. 24th in the Nextel Cup standings. Has 11 Busch Series starts here, including an outside pole 4 years ago. For Raines.
You know, back at Texas, all 4 of the Joe Gibbs Racing engines, including Tony Raines with Hall of Fame Racing, they ran the R07 engine in that 500-mile race. Had good results with it. The other night, 14 Chevrolets for the shorter All-Star event. They ran the R07 engine, including winner Kevin Harvick for Richard Childress Racing. Everyone very happy with what they saw performance-wise and what they saw as they tore them apart. And we're seeing about all of the Chevrolets back here again with that new engine package this weekend for the 600-mile race.
And this is definitely a new engine. I mean, it's not a makeover of the small block. The small block, as we've known it all of our lives, is kind of gone. And this is a clean sheet of paper engine right here from every part of it.
Tony 10th quickest on lap 1 at a 29.86. He was another car that somewhat struggled in practice earlier, 42nd quickest.
Well, Larry, when we think about the other night when we were clocking laps up here and Kurt Busch went around here in 28:50, I think it was, we are way, way off in speed right now.
Yeah, I mean, right now, Denny Hamlin, he's 3/4 of a second off of that time that we did clock Kurt Busch. Of course, that was in that 3-lap average qualifying that first lap, but you would have thought they could come back and at least run that tonight.
Yep.
First lap's the good one for Tony Raines. Coming up, David Stremme, Kyle Busch, and Scott Riggs. David Stremme in the Coors Light Dodge will make his 50th Nextel Cup start Sunday night. Qualified second the first time he ran on a 1.5-mile racetrack this year. Las Vegas, and then 7th at Atlanta.
And he was actually pretty decent in practice earlier today. He was 13th quickest.
Stremme knocks Mark Martin from the front row with a 29.42.
He's going to go for 2. He was pretty good down to the middle of turn 1 and 2. You can see, though, cannot get off turn 2, and the loss of speed carries all the way down that back straightaway. Definitely will not be any better on this second lap.
Car looks good. It's really handling good and
in the racetrack. Man.
Smooth, very smooth.
2/10 slower. So he'll 29.42 right now, put David second quickest.
Great run for
I thought I could get a little more.
It doesn't work.
Well, that's better than saying, I know I could get a little more.
Exactly. He went ahead and tried it.
That's right. Kyle Busch in the Kellogg's CarQuest Chevy. Coming off a tough night at Lowe's Motor Speedway last Saturday night. But he has 2 wins here in the Busch Series, 2 wins in 2 starts in the Truck Series, and a 6th place finish here last fall. Only 1 top 10 start here in Cup, though.
Yeah, he has those 6 low starts, and other than that 1 finish in Nextel Cup you talked about, the other 5 races he finished 25th or worse. So this has not been a good racetrack for him.
3 of those due to crashes.
Well, you know what I said the other night, you watch him in that final 20-lap segment, because it's either going to be records or checkers, and that was the kind of race that was. And I meant that not necessarily, I wouldn't mean to be derogatory. That's just kind of the way that race was going to unfold, and he was going to go for it.
It was likely to happen, and
he was a good guy to keep an eye on.
Good
one
lap,
way or
though.
another.
Good lap. 4th quickest for Kyle right now to 29.55.
Well, that should end up top 15 or so.
I would think so.
I don't know. This track's got to pick up some speed, guys.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we're in the mid, just low 29s here. I thought, well, surely we'd be in the mid 28s before the night was over with.
Bit freer than I would have liked.
He's going to slow down about a 1/2 tenth. But, with all the bad luck that he's had this year, he's still sitting up there in the top 12 in points at 11th. So still in good shape as we approach the halfway point of the race to the chase.
Scared to death.
Scared to death. But you know what I like about this kid? He's never down about it. No matter what happens, it's like, well, that's just racing, and throw another car out there and we'll go after him again.
Well, I talked to him Monday noon. He was a little sullen at the introductions at the Rick Hendrick Charity Golf Tournament. And I don't think it wasn't because of Saturday night. It was because he wasn't golfing. He had to go and do an appearance.
Rodney Wise, the youth movement is everywhere. Right behind Rodney Wise there on the flag stand is another little young man. He's got his green, white, and checkered out. He's working just as hard as Rodney is. Every time the cars come off the corner, he's got that green flag in the air, and he's waving it, emulating just what his hero up there on the flag stand must be doing.
He hadn't missed a car, has he?
No, he's on it. He's got his white flag out, and he's waiting. He's watching Rodney. Takes his key off of him. When Rodney bends over and gets there, here he comes. White flag in the air.
Tell you what, Mike.
Pole setter.
What I saw with this 10 car, Scott Riggs down in 3 and 4. This lap was headed south, but he recovered fairly nicely on the exit of 4 to 4th quickest.
Oh, I thought maybe that was just the get up to speed lap.
Well, it might have been.
It's hard to say. I think our tracker's broken.
It might have been. We'll see how this lap turns out.
because Riggs won the pole for both races here last year in the Valvoline Dodge.
But that first lap, pretty decent first lap at a 29.50. This will definitely be slower.
You know, I'm not sure what's on that boy's shirt, but it says official.
Yep.
So he is an official of something.
He's in the NASCAR training program.
Driver development, Flagger development program.
Yeah, Flagger.
There you go.
Is it Flagger? Oh yeah, we'll find out.
Kevin LePage in a Dodge. Is he headed for the Coke 600 Sunday night, or is he headed for the Huddle House? We'll see here.
He's got work to do on this second lap. Right now, Kevin, 14th quickest, the slowest of the go-or-go homers on that first lap at a 29.91. Just can't keep it down and can't pick the throttle up.
Car just won't do no kind of nothing.
Was late onto the track in practice. Missed about half of the practice session.
Slows down a whole lot. That 29.91, I just don't think that's going to get him in this show.
Doesn't look like it. Krista?
Well, we had to peel Elliott Sadler away from the crab boat captains, the guys from the show The Deadliest Catch. But we've got him over here by your car, and you guys have something special, too. The Silver Surfer, which is part of the new Fantastic Four movie, correct?
Yeah, it's coming out here June 15th, and awesome paint scheme. The guys did a good job, and my charge is very, very fast. So we're really good in practice, and looking forward to a good run tonight. But I like it. We got a lot of the characters coming in this weekend. Jessica Alba's coming in, so I'm pretty excited about that. But I don't know, the car looks great, and it's fast, so that makes me very proud to have it this weekend for the Coca-Cola 600.
And I like that of all the characters, the one you mentioned is the girl, Jessica Alba. Go figure, guys.
Go figure. So is it the Dodge Fantastic car, or is it a Charger? I guess we'll find out when he runs.
I think it's the Jessica Alba car myself.
It could be. A.J. Allmendinger.
Looks like he's got pretty good pickup.
Dinger coming off a great finish in the Craftsman Truck Series race here last weekend.
I'm just starting to get a feel now as we're approaching a third of the way through this qualifying session. You need to run at least maybe in the 60s if you want to feel safe. That may be a decent lap to get him in 29.63. Right now he's the third quickest of the go-or-go homers, but he's in front of Ward Burton and Kevin LePage.
I don't know, Larry. They left the red wheels home this week.
And the bull has a big black dot in the middle of him this week.
But I tell you, this kid, he drives our truck, you know, and I listen to him on the scanner, talk to him a little bit. This kid really has learned a lot these first 11 races this year. He's doing a lot better job now, getting good feedback. He's starting to really understand what's going on.
Yeah, I was talking to General Manager Marty Gaunt this morning, and I said, you know, if y'all give him, if you're patient enough to give him one.
I apologize. Just fine. We'll be all right.
One trip around this entire schedule, I think he's going to be pretty awesome once he hits them to a second time.
He's a talented race driver. There's no question of that. He's just never had a chance to be a talented stock car driver until this year.
I think he's in the place where they'll give him that opportunity. They like him, and they see progress.
And most importantly, the sponsor owns the team, so they don't have to have a worry there.
Marty Gaunt said it wasn't 3 races into the season, said, who are y'all going to put in that car? And they said, well, we have a driver in that car. As we watched Casey Mears start his qualifying run, they said, well, that would be different. Marty said, you know what? We are different.
Casey Mears driving for the National Guard.
Well, that looked good.
Rick Hendrick Chevy. Good into the corner. Didn't carry the speed out of the corner that he might have liked, as you saw the tractor drift off to the right.
Yeah,
see if he can pick up here.
Couldn't get back to the throttle where he needed to.
But he's recovering nicely. If he can get off turn 4, I think this is going to be a pretty solid run for this 25 car, maybe up there in the top 5.
He was happy with the car. He said it was handling good. And I agree. It looks good around the racetrack.
5th, 29.52.
And I tell you, Mike, not only do they need a good qualifying run, they need a good race come Sunday night, because right there they are sitting 35th in owner points, just 75 points in front of the 36th place car, 22 car of Dave Blaney. So they need a solid run Sunday night.
But you know what? They haven't had any great runs lately, but they continue to add points between them and the 36th place car.
Because from 36 on down, people keep missing
races.
They
keep having trouble behind him.
Right. Casey has 2 top 5 starts here and 2 top 10 finishes. Coming up, Martin Truex, Paul Menard, and Greg Biffle. Martin Truex in the Bass Pro Shop Chevrolet got his first ever Nextel Cup top 10 finish here at Lowe's Motor Speedway. It happened in this race 2 years ago.
Got him a win the other night here too, Saturday night.
In the Nextel Open.
Another car in the 2960, 2963. That puts him 11th quickest right now.
Like that paint job. It's almost like it's chrome.
You know, even though it has a very similar paint job as that car did in the Open and the Nextel All-Star Challenge, this is a little different car. They felt like that car the other night was only good on short runs. They couldn't make it good on long runs.
Well, let's see. It's black and silver. It's got red trim. Make you think of anything?
It's got it all, buddy.
All it needs is a 3 on the side.
You've got it.
We're not going to see that for a while. Maybe someday, Richard Childress said, we might see a number 3. His 2 grandsons are racing late models. One with granddad's number 3 and the other with their dad's 21.
Kevin Mannion already pumping his driver up.
Yeah, Bono was telling him, say, good car, dude, long race, we're good shape. You know what he's selling him on? That they brought this car back and not the other one. That's right. The crew chief selling him on. Yep. We got the right car, don't worry.
Don't worry, it'll race well.
Sounds like that Truex might want to bring the other car and Bono didn't.
Well, here's his teammate Paul Menard, who has 5 Busch starts here, and Menard's on a different mission than Martin Truex. Paul Menard has to time his way into the field, and right now the fastest of those drivers is Scott Riggs at a 29.50.
How many times have we seen this? We were way over here to the middle of turn 1 and 2. Now look where we are on the exit of 2.
Not quite as much direct sunlight in turn 3 as we had earlier. He might have caught a little bit of a cloud here.
Yeah, we're getting to that point. We're at that transition point. I think we're going to see speed start to pick up.
64. Now those 60s don't look as safe as they did a little earlier, Larry.
If you're going to be in the 60s, you want to be in the low 60s. Don't be in the mid to high 60s.
I think if you're going to breathe easy right now, you need to be in the 50s, or you've got a nervous hour ahead of you.
Yeah, because it can only get faster.
Right.
I mean, that's the thing we know. It's not like we're guessing it's going to get faster. It can only get faster.
Second lap for Menard, slower, but only by a 10th.
And we're still not seeing anyone pick up on that second lap, but it's no longer 2 or 3 tenths. It's down to about a 10th loss, which tells me the track is gaining grip.
Here's Krista.
Jimmy Johnson climbing into his race car. And, you know, Jimmy, we were talking earlier. It is true. We were talking about some stats. 5 wins at this track for you, 5 Cup wins. That's the same as Dale Earnhardt and Richard Petty in much fewer starts. That's pretty impressive.
That's great company. You thought that earlier, and I couldn't believe that stat. It says a lot about this race team, what we've been able to do together here, and hopefully we can keep that alive and win some more.
All right, yeah, I had to confirm that stat for him. The only guys who have more, by the way, Bobby Allison and our own Darrell Waltrip with 6. He's gunning for you, DW.
Yeah, he is, and at his age and at my age, he's got a real good shot, I'd say.
It's good company.
Because I don't plan on making any comebacks.
Now, Michael Waltrip in the same, is this the same Napa Camry that he brushed the wall with at the end of practice?
Yeah.
I don't think they went to a backup car. I think he's going to be maybe in the 80s, 79, 29, 79. I don't think that's going to be safe.
I saw him running that high line in practice on a qualifying run, and I thought, well, and there's where he had.
Oh, no.
For Pete's sake, brother.
That is a hard lick.
Yeah, fine.
He was way too high there on lap 2, Darrell.
I just don't.
Yeah, I'm fine.
I do not. Boys,
I just can't drive my car. I really struggle with hanging on to him.
poor guy. If you only, gosh.
Watch how high he is here as he starts working off turn 2, Darrell. The car's just sliding, losing grip.
And he's trying to stay after it. You know, he wants to try to get a better lap. He knows that one wasn't good enough to get in. And you've got to say, thank God the safer barrier was right there. But he's going to take another pretty good lick right here at the end. I'll tell you, boys, it's breaking my heart to watch this.
A hard crash for Michael Waltrip. He misses the wall on the outside as the car goes loose.
same place he hit the wall in practice. Scraped it down there on his other practice qualifying run. He was up high like that. I thought maybe he was trying to something different.
I mean, you don't think he hit that wall hard. There was a coil spring came out of it, bouncing across the racetrack.
There's parts flying everywhere.
Another tough day for Michael, who has made only the Daytona 500 this season.
Hey, race fans. You grab the bud, I'll grab the trophy.
Welcome back to Budweiser Pole Qualifying. Michael Waltrip climbed out of his Napa Camry okay. That car well used up, and kind of doubtful if Michael's 29.79 will hold up for a spot in the Coke 600. Greg Biffle for Roush Fenway Racing has 3 top 10 finishes here, but only 1 top 15 start at Lowe's Motor Speedway.
And we're approaching a third of the way of this 2000. Greg just barely held on off turn 4. That's about as close as you can come to spinning out and not spinning out.
That was amazing.
And he shut it off right away.
And I think the stopwatch pretty much reflects it. A 29.89, 19th quickest.
I know the people home, they just don't have any idea what it feels like when this happens and what it takes to
at 180 miles an hour
to not crash. This takes incredible.
Look at his hands in there.
I mean, it just takes incredible. You don't think about that, folks. You just react. It's instinctive how you save a car when it gets out of shape like that.
And what I was saying, we're a third of the way through this 2007 season. We're starting to see changes come about. I think when owners feel like that drivers and crew chiefs are not on the same page. Crew chief Pat Tryson, Roush Fenway Racing, parted ways this past week. Chris Andrews, the engineer, will look after the 16 car this week. Starting next week, probably even Sunday night, Greg Irwin from Robbie Gordon Motorsports will look after Greg Biffle in the 16 car as crew chief.
All right.
Elliott Sadler.
Here's the man of the hour.
Quick in practice, and let's see what the number 19 Dodge Fantasticar.
Up the hill a little bit. Had to lay out the gas a little bit longer, and I know he'd like to right there. Didn't hurt him too bad.
Looks pretty solid right now.
This is a money turn here, boys.
He's
Drop her down in
holder.
there. That left tire down on that white line and let her eat. Mat that throttle and bring her home.
Oh, he's going to be in good shape for right now.
Or so.
Oh, I think so.
P1.
29-18. He beats Denny Hamlin by over 1/10 of a second.
But, Larry, I think we will continue to see these guys that were quick in practice. That time could go right on down into the 28s. That's what I'm expecting.
Yeah, no one wanted to see Michael Waltrip crash, but trust me, all these guys left to qualify loved the time that track had to cool down even more.
That's right, because now the only part of the track in sunlight is the exit of 2 and the back straightaway.
Yeah, Elliott went about 15 minutes too early.
Kenny Wallace for Furniture Row Racing backed his way into the Nextel All-Star Challenge by virtue of the fan vote. And here's Kristen.
We're going to try to catch up here with Tony Stewart before he gets into his Home Depot Chevrolet. And Tony, I want to talk to you real quick about Lowe's Motor Speedway. Last week in the All-Star Challenge, you kind of came out of nowhere. You came out of nowhere last week. You were in the back of the pack. All of a sudden, we look up, top 5 finish. Can you do something like that in this Coca-Cola 600?
In the 600, yes, but probably not in qualifying here. I'm not sure that I've got a good enough feel for this tire yet to really know what I can do qualifying. I know we'll have a better car than what we're going to show qualifying, but I'm looking forward to the 600. I mean, last weekend is what I needed to get my confidence back up. This tire is so hard, and the tracks come around. I mean, it was kind of a combination of two things, but now the tracks come around. Now Goodyear just needs to step up and give us a tire that feels a little better. But once I get the feel of it, I think we'll be fine. It's just a matter of running laps, and that was why my goal last week was just to run all 80 laps in the Home Depot car. It was just to try to get a better feel for it and break our string of crashing 3 years in a row to the All-Star race.
Good news. It's a long race. Yeah. You're going to have a lot of time to move up.
Way too much.
Kenny Wallace, good first lap, 29.63. That's going to be right in bubble territory. So now Scott Riggs is locked into the field. Wallace's run will lock Jeremy Mayfield in, and it will also lock Kevin LePage out. LePage goes home, and Wallace right now is 4th of the 8 go-or-go homers.
Pretty impressed with what Kenny Wallace did. He eased that thing in the corner, but he picked up the throttle, and when he got in it, he stayed in it. Right now, he's right up there 12th.
Jeff Green in the Best Buy Chevrolet racing for Fisher House. Houses being built on the grounds of U.S. military hospitals for families of injured servicemen. Let's see what the former Busch champion. Oh, no.
Right there in turn 2.
Boy, and you know what? You could see those tires start to turn to the front tires start to turn to the right a little bit. That car started getting a little free with him right in the middle of the corner, and you could see him almost turning it to the right, trying to stay in the throttle.
Now, they are 23rd in owners' points, so Green will race here on Sunday night, but from the back.
Because I'd say they will be going to a backup car. He's bringing it around, driving it in, but I think that's going to be a little too much to repair.
And so what we're seeing tonight is the fears that NASCAR have about not locking in the top 35. Guys go out on a qualifying run just like Jeff Green did then. If they start the fastest 43, Jeff Green may not race this weekend.
Right.
And so that's the juggling act that NASCAR is kind of going through right now.
Well, let's meet the man who is fastest so far and see if he thinks that time will stand up. Matt?
And the big question, Mike Joy, is now with the delay because of this accident, it gives the other guys behind you a little more time. Have you gone late enough that that's not going to be that big of an issue?
No, I think some guys are definitely going to run faster tonight. I left a lot on the table. I asked my guys to make an adjustment, and I think it might have hurt us. But still a great lap. Just fantastic. Ford Dodge Charger has been fast since I got here. We've been fast in practice. And, put us in the top 4 or 5, but my teammates going to be pretty good too, but we'll see. I'm proud of my guys. We had a good run, and we're going to have a good starting spot for the Coca-Cola 600.
We both have had a huge day. Some guys from the deadliest catcher here. I mean, Hanson and
everybody's here. I mean, all the guys are here, and I'm a huge fan of watching Deadliest Catch, so that kind of got me pumped up. I was down on pit road. They all showed up. They're big NASCAR fans. I'm like, guys, I'm fans of y'all. Y'all are crazy what y'all do, so that's cool. The guys from Deadliest Catch are here. That was a good honor to meet them.
Thanks, Elliot.
Thanks.
I'll bet they think it's pretty cool that they're on pit road at a NASCAR race.
Remember that adjustment Elliott wanted to make during practice, and he didn't want to say anything about it on the radio?
Right.
And his team, I told you, they were trying to talk him out of it. I reckon the team lost.
That was right at the end of practice.
Yeah, right at the end of practice.
All right, here's the fellow who thinks the Lowe's Motor Speedway is his house.
Juked her a little off turn 4 coming to get the green.
Jimmy Johnson in the Lowe's Chevrolet.
And, even though he was fast in practice, Darrell, we watched him a couple of times. He had his hands full with his 48 car.
It's right on the edge, man. I mean, that's what it takes to go fast. You want the car to turn. You keep hearing the guys wanting them to turn. The only way you can get that done is put a big old right rear spring in there, and then you're riding on ice, baby.
He has 2 poles here and 4 second row starts.
Mike, he slowed down so much. He is so free, I think, that he had to really back it off.
He's going to be right there with his teammate Jeff Gordon. It looks like he's 15th quickest.
I think it was just way.
Let's see.
He's 15th, and Jeff Gordon's 16th now. Both of them run right there in the mid-60s.
And you can just see that back end is just hanging out ever so slightly.
1/1000th difference between their times right now. Now, Jimmy's going to go ahead and run this second lap.
I don't know if that's a good idea or not, but we'll see. Much better in this end of the speedway.
I believe he's going to improve, Darrell. He got off at turn 4 pretty good. In fact, he looks like he may even pop up into the top 10. This would be the first car to pick up, and he'll pick up about a 10th all the way to 9th quickest. Thing must have tightened up a little bit for him on lap 2.
Coming up, Bobby Labonte, Tony Stewart, and Mike Bliss. Darkness beginning to descend on Lowe's Motor Speedway as Bobby Labonte jumps up to 3rd in the chocolate checks Dodge.
Car looked really, really good, guys. I mean, he was a little soft off turn 2, but he nailed 3 and 4. He got through there better probably than anybody I've seen all night.
Yeah, he was 11th quickest in practice, and right now that puts 3 Dodges up in the top 4. Not going to improve on this one. He's going to go ahead and run this second lap.
Now, it's going to be a hard car to find on the racetrack Sunday, because what color is it? I guess it depends on what direction you're looking at it. It's
kind of looks like the 88 car.
It's the whole box of Crayolas on that one.
It's a very busy paint scheme.
Here's Krista.
Well, Ryan Newman is on quite a roll right now, coming off 3 straight top 10s. They also won the Nextel Pit Crew Challenge. We're talking about momentum, and you're on a roll, 3 straight top 10s.
Yeah, the guys are doing a great job. Obviously, the Pit Crew Challenge was a big deal for them to win that, and this All-Tail Dodge is running pretty good. We never did a qualifying run in practice. Just look forward to this opportunity. We got a good draw finally, so we're looking forward to trying to follow through with it.
And congratulations on the milestone, 200th start for Ryan Newman.
And he's got a big smile, so maybe the rocket is back. We'll see as Tony Stewart brings the Home Depot Chevy out for its qualifying pass, and he kind of told us don't expect too much.
I think Tony's just skeptical of the tire. You know, he's got in his mind that this tire doesn't have a lot of grip. You see cars spin out and have trouble, you know, in the early run, in the first lap or two. I think he's kind of got that in the back of his mind.
Well, look at this. I think we're all wrong. He's on a top 10 run, Darrell.
Going to be a great qualifying run for this 20 car.
Well, there's one thing we know about him. He loves to make you look bad.
Well, good job, because Tony's lap is 6th fastest, a 29.49.
And one reason I look for him to run good with this car, this is the car that he won about 3 races at the end of last year with. This is definitely his favorite race car.
And when I say he loves to make you look bad, that's his way of kind of picking on you.
Well, for as bad as that car was in practice, it certainly was great on that first lap.
She's puffing a little bit out the overflow, but I think that first lap's going to be pretty good.
6th for Stewart. All right, back to the go or go home list, where Scott Riggs and Jeremy Mayfield are locked in. Kevin LePage goes home, and 5.
Go get my per diem.
Very good.
So he told his boys for it, don't worry, I got this under control.
So 5 spots remain to be filled, and Mike Bliss, racing for the Paralyzed Veterans of America organization, is set to go.
Now, Mikey had a little trouble over here last week trying to qualify. So we saw him turning around off turn 2 last week.
Said he liked his car. He liked the car he has for the 600 if he can just get it down the racetrack.
Yeah, that's not a good place to be.
Not at all. That did not look good at all. As you can see on our tracker, it's not looking very good either.
The lock in right now would be 14th quickest.
Uh-oh,
she got out of control right there.
And you could hear him.
That's going to do him in right there.
You could hear him, because that's going to kill the second lap by virtue of where he had to get back out of the throttle off turn 4.
Yep.
So Mike Bliss at a 30.55 needs a big pickup here.
I could see him picking up if he just doesn't have another issue like he had down here on this first lap.
You know, this team got on a roll there about 4, 5, 6 races into the season of making some races, but they've been struggling here of late.
Well, he's trying to get that thing done on the apron so he can have plenty of racetrack to work with. It's going to be close.
Well, Mike Bliss will go home with a 30.49 for BAM Racing.
Good news is that'll lock A.J. Allmendinger in. He's going to make another race.
And coming up are David Gilliland, Casey Kane, and the Rocket. Nice lap for David Gilliland in the Shrek the Third M&M's Ford. 29.57. He's 10th, and he's the quickest Ford.
And Mike, we want this car to run well on Sunday night because Doug Yates is donating a part of their Sunday's race winnings to assist the rebuilding of 2 Charlotte area parks, which will be dedicated as memorials to 2 local police officers, Jeff Shelton and Sean Clark of the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department, who recently lost their lives in the line of duty. So we want to see this car run good Sunday night.
Yes, we do. Matt?
Bobby Labonte, 5th last fall, currently 3rd on the board. One end of the racetrack hurts your run, Bobby, more than the other?
Yeah, it did. 3 and 4 was a little bit, I just never got to the white line good enough. And I was going to have to slow the car down too much to get there, and I didn't think that was going to help me off. So I just had to stay in it, but I just didn't carry the speed and have the speed through the center like I needed to. But the guys did a great job. We got chocolate check cereal on the car this weekend on our Dodge, and everybody did a great job. And you know, we were 11th fastest in practice, so you know we kind of worked towards this. We want a good starting position, so hopefully this will hold up to a good starting spot. Casey's out there probably outrun us here, but hopefully be good, and so we'll have a good race on Sunday. But I feel good about it, and the guys have done a great job, and you know just got to keep working at it.
Thanks, Bob.
Yep,
no, I don't think you got to worry about Casey or Bobby. He's got his hands full.
Yeah, he could not even think about turning that car down to the bottom of the racetrack.
Just barely clicks the top 10 with a lap identical to Kyle Busch, 29.557.
Now this is much better looking down there in 1 and 2. He didn't go up the track like he did on his first lap. I could see this car picking up a little bit here.
Right now we still have a ways to go, but definitely looking much brighter for the Evernham cars, especially here in qualifying. Right now, all 3 of them in the top 10. Not sure this is going to be any quicker for Casey.
Yeah, but identical.
Almost identical laps, so he'll be 10th quickest right now. So we got a lot of Dodges up there in the top 10.
Second one felt better, though.
Remember earlier we were telling you about that cool dune buggy that Casey Mears has, the one with the 700 horsepower Corvette engine off the back?
Oh, my God.
Well, it is registered and street legal in some states, and he's driving it home.
Looks like he was headed to the house.
I'm not worried about the car. I'm a little bit worried about the driver.
And he doesn't need a road to do it.
No, whatever comes his way.
Here's the Rocket, and you saw the big smile on Ryan Newman's face before he went out to qualify the Alltel Dodge. He has a bunch of poles here.
Oh, yeah. And he might have one tonight, because I tell you, when you see him smiling like that, I haven't seen him look that confident before qualifying in a long time.
Got his first Bud pole here. He's got 5 of them at Lowe's Motor Speedway.
You see when it's down in the bottom like that, that thing is digging.
You better believe it, because what he did, he picked that throttle up, he turned it to the bottom, and he never had to think about cracking that throttle.
This car looks a lot like it did back in the day, which was about a year ago.
Yeah. He had 10 straight starts here in the top 4. None in 2007, but he's back.
It's
Rocket
going to be
is
close.
back.
Oh, yeah, 29-14. He knocks Elliott Sadler off by 4/100ths of a second. Puts 4 Dodges still up there in that top 5.
But you see how that car is sucked down to the ground? We haven't seen that in a while. It looks like it's down there eating the earth.
It's the way it looked at Atlanta when he sat on the pole a couple of months ago.
So you got the Rocket and the Silver Surfer on the front row. That'll give him something to write about.
They're both in Dodges. That'll give them something to write about.
And the second lap is slower by 0.2.
Definitely starting to see this group get dragged together.
If I didn't like the first one, that's why I ran the second one.
Here's Krista.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. down here talking with the president of Lowe's Motor Speedway, Humpy Wheeler. And Dale, we want to talk about your cool car. I know you addressed the media a little bit about this. Who designed this? Was it a buddy of yours? Is that how this whole thing came together?
Well, that car's still in the box. It'll be here. We'll pull it out in July for the Daytona race. But it's the camo car. It's pretty much camo. Don't really have to have any design specialist for that. But I'm real proud of it, and I love the program. Anytime we can pair up and assist the military and tell them not only help out some of the families within the military, but when you can show the other soldiers that are overseas and still in the States that we're proud and we support them and thank them for what they allow us to do every day. It's really a great feeling. So they don't hear it enough. So hopefully this little shout out will make a couple guys happy.
I could not say it any better. Of course, part of the American Heroes program, this paint scheme.
Thanks, Krista. Ricky Rudd on track, and he's in the top 5 in the Snickers Dark Ford of Robert Yates. He was 3rd in practice. He's 4th right now, and he's the fastest Ford with a 35.
And I know during the test out here a couple of weeks ago, this 88 car was consistently quick, and they backed it up.
I kind of like that purple on that bad boy. He had a good lap going until he got a little wiggle off turn 4.
Well, a dark car to race in the nighttime.
Thank the Lord for the nighttime.
Reed Sorensen in the Target Dodge will make his 50th Nextel Cup start on Sunday night, which is not bad for being just 21 years of age.
First lap 29.73 puts Reed 24th quickest, and right now his teammate David Stremme, the 40 car's up there in 6th. Other teammate Montoya is 14th.
A little better this lap?
Yeah, well, it's looking a whole lot better until he got right there. And then up the track, she took off with him, and that cost him time.
And the tracker goes to the right.
We were joking earlier about you can win this race from the back, and Jeff Gordon right now 22nd as Sorensen ends up 24th for now. The chances of winning from 20th or worse here, based on history, 1 in 19.
Yeah, it's about a 25% chance. Is that 1 in 19?
No, it's about a 4.5% chance.
Oh.
worse than you feared.
Something like that.
Matt.
And Ryan Emmons down here. First off, you said you came out of turn 4 down the front stretch. You looked up at the board and you couldn't see your times. You're like, oh, I got to run another one.
Yeah, I looked at the pole and I saw the 19 was still on top. I'm like, man, I got to do this again. But it was a good run for the All-Tell Dodge. You're going 200 miles an hour there, so it doesn't update that quick. But it's a good run. Michael Nelson, the guys are doing a great job. Great Penske Jasper engine horsepower, and just keep working on. We never did a qualifying run in practice, and we got half of one in with the yellow flags there at the end of happy hour, or practice there. But a good run for the guys. Hopefully it holds up. The track's going to continue to get better.
Thanks, Ryan.
Thank you.
Dave Blaney in the Caterpillar Toyota. He's going to lock in here with anything better than 19th. This is way better.
No, he's looking really good. That car is sticking, baby.
The Cat Camry comes to the line, hunting a top 5 start. Got it.
Oh, yes, sir.
29.37.
Oh, Blaney likes this joint. You know, he won his Busch race over here, and he likes his place.
And, Darrell, we talked about it earlier. All 7 Toyotas had to lock in on time. Right now, we already have 3 locked in. We talked about this in the practice session. I think that pretty much sums it up what he felt about that lap. But Toyota making a little change to the engine combination. Not the engine, but just camshafts, things like that. Giving them a little more bottom end to get them off the corner.
Yeah, I think as we said in our practice show, you know, you can work off, an engine can work off of velocity, and that's when you get torque, or it can work off of volume. That's when you get that big horsepower number. How you control that is the size of the cylinder heads, the size of the intake manifold, the exhaust headers, the tailpipes. There's a lot of things that you can change to change the power curve of an engine, and that's what they've done.
Kevin Harvick. In 2 days this season, he's banked $2.5 million and more. Daytona, and the Nextel All-Star Challenge last Saturday night.
And I tell you, this car, if it just comes back and runs a lap, anything like it did at the end of the All-Star race last week, he'll be right up front.
And we should mention Dave Blaney's run did send Ward Burton home in the State Water Heaters car.
Kevin was 21st quickest in practice, and that looks like about where he's going to end up on his qualifying lap. Right now you can see the tracker losing a little ground, getting off in the corner.
But the car looks like it's handling really. It's not, I guess he's not pushing the car that hard. I know he's probably doing all he can, but nonetheless, the car's handling good. Really looks nice on the racetrack.
18th with a 29.62 for Harvick.
And I know this group had to be happy for obviously a lot of reasons winning that Nextel All-Star Challenge, but this has not been one of their better racetracks as he's going to shut it down. In fact, his last 6 races, points races here, he's finished 14th or worse.
Well, of all the good things that happened in the All-Star race, that move he made off of turn 2 over there to get the lead, that was probably the move of the night, obviously, to win that race. Once he got out front, Jimmy Johnson caught him, but that was all he could do.
Well, we've got 4 go-or-go homers to go. 3 drivers have already been locked out. And you see the top 7 instead of the top 8 because we know Bill Elliott will be in the race. Here is Dale Jarrett, who must qualify on time in the UPS Camry. His teammate Michael Waltrip is the car on the bubble.
I believe DJ should be able to get this car in the show.
He has to beat Michael's 29.79 to have a chance and beat Kenny Wallace's 29.63 to lock in. And it looks like he's going to do that handily.
I believe so. I think this car is good enough to get in there, but he's losing time right there. Holy cow.
Got in the corner good. Actually went through the middle, but could not get off the corner at all. I mean, lost a tremendous amount of ground. And this team actually struggled in practice earlier today.
A great half a lap, and then.
Yeah, I think he lost his confidence in the car once that happened.
Working with his new crew chief, Jason Burdett, moved over to replace Matt Borland, 29.70.
Well, that will bump Michael Waltrip out of the field, but it only moves Jarrett to the bubble.
Now, if Dale Jarrett could possibly pick up 7/100ths of a second on this second lap, he could lock himself into the show.
I tell you, this is a better looking lap if he can just stay in it right here and stay after it.
He has to get to 21st.
I think he's going to do it.
I think he is too. The car looked a lot better off turn 4 that time.
He's
Yes.
in.
Yes.
Good job.
29.60 for Jarrett, and that will be fast enough to race.
Second lap, 29.60. Awesome job right there, baby. In the show.
That's his
You are the man.
new crew chief, Jason Burdett. This will be the first race that Jason has made with Dale Jarrett, because remember, he has missed the last 2 races at Richmond and Darlington.
And that's something Dale Jarrett probably hadn't heard this year. You're the man. That's so, so important. The power of positive racing.
Krista?
Well, Matt Kenseth knows what it takes to win a 600-mile race. You did that back in 2000, so give us the secret. What is it?
That was a long time ago. If I knew the secret, I would have done it like 6 more times like Jimmy or something. But I don't know. A lot of things changed between then and now. But we had a great car last week and brought the same car back. And hopefully I'll be a little smarter this week, be there at the end, and hopefully have a shot.
All right, Matt Kenseth.
Next up, Brian Vickers in the Red Bull, number 83. Now, for Vickers to get in, he has to beat Paul Menard's 29.64 to move on to the bubble, and he has to beat Kenny Wallace's 29.63 to lock into the show.
He got off the corner awfully good. I think this is going to be good enough.
So girl looked like she was coming to me.
He's in 29.62 by 100th of a second. Vickers will race. Paul Menard, 2/100ths slower than Vickers, goes home.
But it's just unbelievable. Right now, Dale Jarrett is 17th at a 29.607. Now, that's 17th. Jeff Gordon is 26th at a 29.674. It is tight in there.
Vickers going to slow down on his second lap. So 1 spot remains to be filled, knowing that Bill Elliott will be in the show. And that is between Kenny Wallace's 29.63 and David Rudiman, who comes up in a couple of cars here.
And here we are again talking thousandths of a second. A.J. Allmendinger right now is locked in at a 29.630. Kenny Wallace is not locked in at 29.633.
And here's Dale Earnhardt Jr., who got a 100-point penalty and lost his crew chief, Tony Uri Jr., until July because of unapproved wing struts on his car at Darlington.
Well, that was good right there, I can tell you.
Yeah, he was awfully good in practice. He was 12th quickest with this camouflage 8 car.
I hope we can find him on Saturday or Sunday night.
How about that right there, boys? If he can get through turn 3 and 4 with this 8 car looks awfully good right around the bottom.
You know what? Sunday night, I want to see all Junior Nation show up here in camouflage.
That's going to be a great lap right there, guys.
Well, they're going to like this qualifying run. 29-24. I think the crowd speaks for itself.
I figured I could have run a single lap, but I don't think I could have done any better from my seat. So thanks for the car, man. Good job. Y'all did good today. Really proud of you.
And we need to mention Tony Uri Jr. again, as you mentioned, Mike, suspended until July the 4th. Tony Gibson, who is a veteran in racing, will look after this car during the month of June.
So Dodge, Chevy, Ford, Toyota. That's the way the top 6 stack up right now. And it's time to see who goes and who goes home. Here's the Burger King 00 for David Rudiman out of Zephyr Hills, Florida, and out of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. And boy, this kid's a qualifier.
Yes, he is. He'll get everything she's got and then some. I can guarantee you that.
Not good in practice. 11th out of this go or go home group.
Whoop, whoop. Keep her down, bud. Keep her down. Looks like Michael's car right there now. That didn't look too sporty.
He has to beat a 29.63 and get right past that green line at 24th place.
No, he's in on the apron. That's bad news.
It's not going to be good.
Bad news, guys. He got in on the apron.
So Michael Waltrip Racing crashes 2 and gets 1 in the race. Rudiman goes home.
He just totally missed the 3rd turn. I mean, he was way down on the apron getting into 3, trying to cut that corner and get those wheels down there and get that grip, but afraid he might have miscalculated a tad. Watch his entry into 3 over here. So he got in right there just below that yellow white line, getting in the corner, that upset the car and shot it up the racetrack.
Now, Darrell, I could be mistaken, but I thought I saw sparks at the start of that replay before he got down in the corner. Not sure from what.
I saw it, what they do a lot of times, they put new skirts on the car to qualify so that they'll get maximum grip or maximum sealed off from a racetrack. But see right there, that's when he got down on there a little too low, and see the car take off.
But Mike, if you do get down on that apron because of the difference in banking, it'll definitely, the car will bottom out down there as well.
That's what we saw.
And a lot of times what they will add to the skirts on the side so it'll seal off good around the racetrack for qualifying.
So David Rudiman fails to make the show. Kenny Wallace will race in the Coke 600. David Reagan in the Roush Fenway AAA Ford, first lap, 10th, 29.46. Shut her down.
I would, because I'm telling you, that was not real pretty.
But it was fast.
But it was fast, boys.
And the only thing I can figure, Darrell, down in 3 and 4, you and I were both looking at the same thing. He was way up the racetrack, but he never rolled out of the throttle.
Nice run for the rookie.
I got a lot of throttle, and I got a lot of track, and I'm going to use all of it.
It's out there.
That's right.
He is the second fastest Ford. Ricky Rudd is the fastest, but there's a lot of Fords left to go. Now we know that Bill Elliott will race because he has a champion's provisional. The question will be, will he have to use it? And we'll have to wait and see what Bill's time is to let you know that. But the go and go home list is set as David Rudiman's wreck rolls to the garage. Jeff Burton, 2 wins at Lowe's Motor Speedway, both in the 600. And he has 4 top 10 starts here tonight in the AT&T Chevrolet for Richard Childress.
He was 25th quickest earlier tonight in practice session. Had a good all-star challenge. Quietly sat back there and finished up the top 5 and 4th.
It's actually the AT&T Mobility Chevy. That's the new name for singular.
Starting to come back a little bit off turn 4.
That car is tight, though. That's that push loose coming off the 4.
He's going to be right there with his teammate Kevin Harvick right now. Harvick's 23rd. Right after lap 1, Jeff Burton will be 21st.
Car looked just a little snug at kind of wanting to push the front end, and he's having to try to make it turn. That's when the back end steps out. As Robbie Gordon says, it's tripping over the front tires.
That's a good example of it there.
Yeah.
This lap definitely going to be slower than lap 1. So right now, Jeff Burton will be 21st quickest.
So Jeff Burton.
To get the green,
Let's check with Matt.
Well, and I don't know what has been bigger, the excitement of Tony Gibson and the crew guys over how well you've qualified, or how proud you are of what they've done in the situation you are with Tony Jr. back at the shop.
I felt great about my cars in testing. We brought an experiment, you know, a different kind of car here for the Winston. Didn't work out that good, or the All-Star race, but so we came here today in the first lap. I knew we were back to basics and running what we know, and the car's driving great. We came off the trailer fast. Tony Gibson's done a great job. I'm lucky and fortunate to have a guy like him around to fill in a position or in a situation like this. He's going to do a great job. Tony Jr. tells him all he can tell him, gives him all the information he can give him, and Tony's got to do the best with it, and he did a great job today, and I look forward to a great run this weekend.
How many times has he called you guys today?
I don't think the phone ever got hung up, you know, to be honest with you. We were constantly in conversation with Tony Jr. throughout the practice, trying to feed him as much information as possible, and he you know, had some ideas and stuff, and we tried, but we basically qualified like we came off the trailer. The car was good, and I was really happy with it then.
Junior said, he's not here, but we're not out of touch.
Right. Robbie Gordon, first lap, 32nd for the Jim Beam Ford, 29.78.
Now, right before we started interviewing Dale Earnhardt Jr., we had just a snippet of Jeff Burton audio that said coming to the green, and it got chopped off. What he said was coming to the green. I actually hit something on the racetrack. Remember, it was only 2 cars before Burton that David Rudiman ended up wrecking over there. Sounds like he may have hit something off of Rudiman's car.
Second lap, same as the first for Robbie Gordon. 32nd right now with 5 drivers left to go.
Robbie working with a new crew chief, started last week at the All-Star Weekend. Gene Need coming from Kevin Harvick Incorporated, and as I mentioned earlier, his crew chief Greg Irwin will be moving on to Roush Fenway Racing.
Krista?
Well, right before Carl Edwards got in his car, he handed me this. It's half of a $100 bill. So, Carl, what's the story with this?
Humpy came over and he said, "What do you think you can run?" And I said, "Man, I think we could run a 29 flat." You know, I was feeling pretty good. And he pulled out 100 and tore it in half and said, "Well, if you do, I'll give you the other half of this when you get done. And if I don't, I got to give it back to him." So hopefully this Office Depot Fusion runs like it did last week. It'll be great.
Some extra incentive for our last guy who's going to go out.
I thought that was his pay for being the pit reporter last Saturday night with us on Speed. Bill Elliott driving for the Wood Brothers in the Air Force 21. As a past champion, he has 6 provisional starts in his pocket. To not use one tonight, he's got to be 27th or better.
I think he's going to be okay.
Do it. Yeah, he's going to be in good shape.
I watched Bill practice, and yeah, he's 19th. That's a good run for him. I watched him practice, and when Bill practices kind of where he was, I kind of felt like he would step it up.
Now let's explain how this works. Among the go-or-go homers, there are 8 spots available. If Elliott is in one of those 8 qualified positions, then he does not need the champion's provisional to bump another driver out of the field. Right now he is 3rd of 8 with a 60, and that's where he'll be, 19th overall, 3rd out of 8. So he does not use one of those provisionals for the Coke 600.
But I tell you, I'm amazed. All of our go-or-go homers, they're almost clunked right together where they've qualified so far.
And that's a big deal for Bill because he says, hey, I didn't need that provisional. I'm a great race car driver.
Speed's coverage of Bud Pole qualifying from Lowe's Motor Speedway is brought to you by Sea-Doo. Break free and discover the exhilaration of Sea-Doo.
I want to tell you something that's going to be exhilarating. These last 2 or 3 cars now, they've all got a legitimate shot at the pole.
Yes, they do.
Well, how about J.J. Yaley, who stepped up to a 10th place run, 29:45 for the Interstate Battery Chevy. Nice run.
He was pretty solid in practice all day long.
Well, you got the 17 car going out now, Kenseth. You got the 2 setting over there in the wings, and the 99 who says he can run a flat.
And you know what Matt Kenseth did not say in his interview? Well, we're not going to qualify well, but. So let's see how he does in the R&L Carriers Ford from Roush Fenway Racing.
Whoopee, boy, he took her right out next to the wall, used up all the racetrack getting down into turn 1. That's not bad. That's not a bad thing. That's good.
And he got off turn 2 good, Darrell. Really got off turn 2 good. And he was 6th quickest in practice earlier today.
I believe if he hadn't had that mental error on pit road and exceeded the speed limit, you might be looking at the guy that won the All-Star race last Saturday night.
About a $750,000 speeding ticket, possibly.
You might be looking at a top 5 starter here. 4th for Kenseth, 29:311.
Becomes the fastest Ford.
Which is kind of normal. I mean, that's where he's been all year long. With whatever Ford's got, he usually gets it.
And he'll shut her down. Didn't get off turn 2 very good. He said, boy, that's all I've got.
I think the next couple of cars, the 2 and the 99, Sterling, I guess Sterling's got to go. He wrecked his car in practice. I guess this will be a backup car, right?
Yeah, and that will be the very first laps that car will make when he rolls it out there for qualifying.
So here goes the 2, and I tell you, don't count this dude out.
We know, based on the stopwatch that we were using up here in all the qualifying laps last Friday night, he ran the fastest of anybody.
He ran a 20. I remember Larry said it was 29:50 something, 58, I think it was.
28:59.
I mean, 28. I'm sorry.
Now, while Kirk gets up to speed, we want to say that our thoughts and our prayers go out to his car chief, Corey Tucker, and his family, who lost his dad in a very tragic accident earlier in the week. So certainly we'll be thinking about Corey and that entire
family. Looked pretty good there. Got up a little bit, which hurts your exit off of 2, but made it up. I tell you, we know one thing about those Penske cars. They got the ponies.
You might have 2 of them on the front row here.
Because he is going after it right now.
He got up a little bit there as well. I think that may have hurt his exit a little.
But he stayed in the throttle. I don't know if he's going to take his teammate off the pole, but he will be 2nd quickest at a 29:17 right now. An all Penske front row with 2 cars left to qualify.
Now he's going to stay after this thing, and this looks a little... They always look better on the second lap because the guys slow them down to where they're comfortable. No, but the car looks much better on this lap. Gets a little up the hill off of turn 4 again.
It's going to be a good second lap. It's not going to probably better what he ran on lap 1, but it's still going to be a real good second lap at a 29.20. That right there would have been 4th quickest.
Two great laps.
And if I'm Roger Penske, you know what I'm thinking? Memorial Day double. That sounds pretty good.
Yeah, you got Helio on the pole up at Indy. And
you're likely to have Ryan on the pole here at Charlotte.
I don't know. I think the cat's going out, and the 99 car is the guy I think might be the dark horse here.
Sterling Marlin and Carl Edwards are the 2 cars left. This is the backup Pep Boys Chevy.
And that's no
Marlin.
disrespect to my good friend Sterling Marlin, but he hadn't even been on the racetrack in this car.
He's just shaking this car down right now during this qualifying run.
And he's in the race, so nothing at stake here. Let's see how he does.
Sterling's still looking for his very first top 10 finish here in 2007, but he did get a win here back in I think it was 2001, the fall of 01.
The thing about most all these cars, because of all that's taken place here over the last 3 weeks, testing, couple of days, the All-Star race, a lot of these race cars, backup cars, have been on the racetrack.
Sterling's first race here was 29 years ago. He started and finished in the top 10.
Not a shabby lap for a shakedown lap.
Not for the very first lap of the day with that car. It's exactly right.
Going to get comfortable with it. I'm sure he's a little nervous right there. That's where he had trouble in practice, but he made it out there looking a lot better on this second lap, actually. He's gotten the feel of the car. See if he can pick up any speed.
But did you just see, speaking of speed, miles per hour, 194 miles per hour, and that's at the end of the shortest straightaway, the backstretch.
In a car you've not driven.
I think that might be better.
It is, Darrell.
Wow.
And he picks up to 30th.
That's pretty.
So for a car that hasn't been on the track.
Way to believe in that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not kidding.
Yeah, that's putting a lot of faith in your team when they say it's going to be good.
That was his crew chief, Slugger Labby.
Yep.
So the 43-car field is set for the Coke 600. The only question is, will it be an all-Penske front row? This is the last man to qualify.
Well, he's got a half 100 in his pocket. We know that.
That's right.
Question is, can he get the other half?
Budding pit reporter Carl Edwards, who I thought did a great job for us on speed during the Nextel All-Star Challenge.
Carl can do anything. He's a cool dude.
And was happy doing it despite the misfortune in the Nextel Open.
Whoop, 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 whoop. Sorry, Carl.
He's not going to be able to keep that half 100 that way. It's going to have to come here on lap 2 as he regroups.
Might as well toss that out the window.
Yeah, that was a UGLY right there.
Tried to get it all.
See if he can recover. You figure he can get obviously he'll get a better second lap, but he won't. I don't think he's got a pole lap anymore.
Parks it in all the way down to the white line.
Yeah, but he just backed out way early to get it down there like that.
Whoa.
That bad boy's out of control.
Quit blowing my head.
I'm with you, bud. I think if I were you, I would just bring it on in. Hanging on for dear life.
Well, he's in the show.
Yeah.
He's going to have his work cut out for him come Sunday night, though.
It's got to be really disappointing. He moved up one spot. He's 44th.
So 3 Dodges, 5 Dodges. 5 Dodges in the top 10. Only 2 Chevys, 2 Fords, and Blaney's Toyota. Here's the front row for the Coca-Cola 600.
I tell you what, for a year that the Dodge they've somewhat struggled. It's looking pretty good here tonight, isn't it?
Well, for the Penske teams in general, I mean, they've struggled, for most part of the year. They have come around here lately, boys.
Ryan Newman and Kurt Busch will share the front row for the Coke 600. We'll go to John Roberts, and he'll have interviews on the other side of the break.
Well, the field is set for the 2007 Coke 600 here at Lowe's Motor Speedway, and history does indeed repeat itself. The crowd is out in full force here, and they saw a Penske sweep of the front row for this weekend's marathon race. Hello, everybody. I'm John Roberts out here at the speed stage, and as you can see, the fans are still anxious about this weekend. It's a long one, but it is a great one here at Lowe's Motor Speedway. Let's go inside now to Bob Dillner, who is standing by with a man who has claimed his 6th pole at this racetrack. Bob?
Well, this is tradition here at the Lowe's Motor Speedway over the past couple of years. Ryan Newman eating a little pecan pie as the pole winner here for the 600. How's the pie?
Stay away from my strawberry.
Is the pie better than the pole, or is the pole better than the pie?
The pole for sure beats the pie, but the pie is really good.
All right, tell me about that run. Very, very fast, obviously, but as the night progressed, it got a little cooler. Were you worried?
A little bit. I still don't feel like I had a perfect lap. It was a good lap. The All-Tall Dodge was good in practice. We never did a qualifying run, and the guys did a good job putting it into the right shape for tonight in the cooler conditions. And I got to thank Michael Nelson, all those guys, Travis, the race engineer. Penske Jasper engine horsepower was great, and just look forward to the rest of the weekend. It's something to look forward to. The piece of pie is nice, but having the trophy is really nice.
Oh, he's eating his pie here in Victory Lane on the pole for the 600. And how about Penske Racing? Ryan Newman on the pole for the Cup race on Sunday, and Helio Castro Neves on the pole for the Indy 500. Penske is doing good.
Yeah, Bob, and add into that the fact that Ryan Newman's teammate is up there with him as well. It makes a banner weekend for the Penske organization. They'd love to cap it off with a victory here on Sunday night. Let's take a look at the full starting lineup, how they will line up when the green flag waves. It's Newman and Kurt Busch on the front row. Elliott Sadler and Dale Earnhardt Jr. outside of row number 2. Bobby Labonte, David Stremme also with great qualifying runs as well. Mark Martin, good starting spot with J.J. Yaley right next to him. Teammate Tony Stewart right behind Yaley, and Juan Pablo Montoya qualified outside of row number 10. Jimmy Johnson in the 48 inside of row number 11. His record at this racetrack speaks for itself. Dale Jarrett qualified on time as one of the go or go home cars. Kenny Wallace in the number 78 inside of row 16. Another very fast go or go home car. Jeff Gordon, the 24 inside of 17. Sauter, Clint Boyer, and Paul Menard round out your starting field. And folks, remember, it's a long race, so the winner can come from anywhere. And here are the 6 drivers who failed to qualify. Paul Menard, Michael Waltrip for the 11th time in 12 races, failed to qualify. He had a very scary-looking wreck. We understand Michael is okay after that, as did his teammate David Rudiman in the 00. So only one of the 3 Michael Waltrip racing cars will be in this race on Sunday, and it is a very bitter pill for the 6 guys to swallow who failed to make this race, because it is a long one and plenty of TV exposure goes with racing at the Coke 600. Folks, stick around. Speed Road Tour Challenge is coming your way next.